is relative. And when I say that it's relative, I mean to say that you can have hope if you want it. The same way you can have dope if you want it. You got a choice. I mean, you can, matter of fact, you can go to jail if you want. You can get out of jail if you want. You can stay married if you want. You can get a divorce if you want. You can kill yourself if you want. You can have life if you want. Life is optional. I've never seen God or Jesus Christ come down here and grab anybody and say, "Oh man, give me that pipe. Give me that cigarette." Have you?
No, sir.
Never seen God or Jesus. I've never seen the devil to come out here and say, "Oh, wait a minute. Come out of that church. You don't need to go to church." I've never seen him do that. But I know one thing, he sure can use people, places, and things.
Yes, he can.
Just like God can do. Tell people who you are and how you happen to be here today.
Yeah, my name is Kevin, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. I'm here by way of the House of Hope. Was in the program, completed the program, and now I am a staff member of the program.
Praise the Lord.
And it's only by God's grace and mercy that I'm here today to share my experience, strengths, and hopes with anybody out there that's listening.
Yes. We just before we started this broadcast, you said something I thought was real powerful. Do you remember what it was?
Yes. I said that it doesn't matter how much clean time you have, you can be clean and living dirty.
Yes, indeed. It's a terrible thing to be living clean. I mean, to be clean but living dirty. Explain that.
Yeah, well, from the 12-step program that I'm associated with, it talks about clean time, uninterrupted, without having a drink or a drug. And then when you do the step work in the 12-step program, the step work involves spiritual principles. And the spiritual principles are the key to your freedom of living a clean life. There's nothing religious about the program. It's a spiritual program, written simply that we can follow in our own lives. And it basically doesn't have anything to do with drugs. It's because once you get clean after 30 days or 45 days of the drugs out of your system, you can't get any more cleaner than that. Physically you can't get any more cleaner than that. Well, we talking about a different level of spiritual cleanness, spiritual living. So only thing I can say is when you start living by these spiritual principles, and that's been given to you, and you start sharing them with other individuals that's coming behind you, but you still living like you're getting high.
Yeah, let's look at the spiritual principle number one, and let's talk about how in the process of talking about how it was and how it is today, or the end and the beginning. Let's look at the first spiritual principle in the 12-step program, step one, okay, which says we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives have become unmanageable. How do you think that's spiritual?
Let me tell you something. First of all, for me, it's so spiritual that if you're not aware, you can miss it. Because, for me, I thought that I was in control. But I wasn't in control. I was being controlled. I was a slave to the disease of addiction. I was a slave to a small Sailor Mill bag. I was a slave to a gel cap. I was a slave to a can of beer. I was a slave to alcohol. I was a slave to a blunt of marijuana. I was a slave to a pill of oxycodone. I was a slave to all those things. Something that can't think for themselves, but it was actually thinking for me. So, that's where I had to realize that if I kept, I'm doing these things, and why is my life so unmanageable? My life was so unmanageable because of the drugs that I was using that made my life become unmanageable, And then I was in a hopeless dilemma. My sponsor told me one time, he said, Kevin, you was in a fixed fight and you just didn't know it.
A fixed fight. Isn't that something? A fixed fight.